The clearing of the structures begin immediately as we speak. That's why I have all the CSCs and chief officers here, and the national government. We have the police to help us. Where the structures need to be cleared, they must be cleared, no matter whose it is. And that's why I have thanked those in the informal settlements have been more cooperative. But those higher up in Kileleshwa, in Lavington, in Kilimani, we will just have to use force, unfortunately, because it is about saving lives, and so we're going to do that. You're right, the matter has been perennial, because you see our drainage system over the years, has been constrained. We have a constrained drainage system. But with the work of the Green Army, that's why when you saw during the El Nino, there wasn't much flooding, because the water didn't reach the level of rivers bursting their banks. If you look at most areas that flood, after the water settles, it flows, and so the drainage is flowing, but the capacity of the drainage is what is constrained. What we're dealing with currently, the crisis now, is bursting of river banks. And the river banks is not a drainage issue; it is rivers, and it is encroachment onto the rivers. If you go along, and you see many of our rivers, the valleys are what the informal settlements went into. If you look at from the 1948 master plan of Nairobi, the areas that were set aside as buffer zones between the river and the higher areas where the richer people took, is where we have our slums and our informal settlements. That is where you have Madare in the depth of Madare Valley. That's where you have, Kibra. That's where you have Mukuru, along those valleys and the rivers. So the issue right now is not, the normal perennial issue that we have of drainage, but just the bursting of the banks of our rivers across. And that is why I've said we have halted all processes of development approvals for now, until we can review all of those that have been issued and where they are, because we shall not allow any development upstream to affect lives downstream. It is not fair, it is not right. We've also said, and our enforcement is here, our building enforcement, all excavations and such sites, because of the rains, you weaken the foundation. I saw one photo in Westlands where someone's excavation is right next to the wall of a neighbor. With this kind of rains, with this force, you completely weaken the structural integrity of your neighbor's house, and you cannot have a beacon to beacon excavation. That is not allowed. So we must enforce. Enforcement notices have been issued. There are buildings, for instance, in General Madenge, where they are actually encroached completely on where the drainage is. In as much as the building has been there for a number of years, we're dealing with today's problem. So we shall deal with today's problem today, how it needs to be done. That path of the water and the flow must be restored. There is no negotiation about that. So nafikiri tutaachia hapo. Asanteni sana. Please, we shall keep giving updates. As we give updates, tunaomba ya kwamba pia mtaeleza watu wa Nairobi what to do and where to go. The sub-county administrators, the deputy county commissioners are issuing the notices as we speak of people who need to move. Once that is issued, tafadhali. Sasa pale nimetoka, kuna mtu anasema ako comfortable, hataki kutoka. And I've had to give a direction that lazima sasa atolewe kwa nguvu. Because wewe unaweza ona uko sawa, lakini the level of the rain, the level of, and that was at infinity. The level of the rain that we are expecting, haijui wewe uko sawa, itakuja na ikufungia hapo pale huko, and so those are the efforts that we are making. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki. Please stay safe and stay well. Thank you.